The origins of the space opera genre can be traced back to the early 20th century, with roots in pulp fiction and serialized storytelling. Early works in this genre often featured melodramatic adventures set in space, with an emphasis on action and exotic settings rather than the scientific accuracy and serious themes that would later define so-called hard science fiction. During the mid-20th century, space opera began to evolve and gain legitimacy as a subgenre of science fiction. Writers like Isaac Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke expanded the scope and depth of space opera, introducing more sophisticated narratives and varied character types. This period saw the publication of seminal works such as Asimov's Foundation trilogy and Frank Herbert's Dune, which elevated space opera to new literary heights and influenced countless science fiction writers. The 1970s was particularly rich in space operas, primarily in the form of novels and comics, but there were also a number of ambitious projects mounted for film and television. Here is my ranked list of the top 10 space operas made for television and film in the 1970s.
Initiate sequence. Retrotron Entertainment presents
That 70s Nerd. I explore the hidden depths of 1970s pop culture, from movies and television to books, comics, and magazines, music, toys, and technology. Discover forgotten classics and hidden gems you will not find anywhere else with That 70s Nerd. Number 10. The Starlost, 1973. The Starlost is an oft-maligned television space opera that is far better than its reputation. The series is engrossing, unique, and features interesting, big ideas and good performances from the lead cast. The Starlost was a Canadian science fiction television series created by the acclaimed writer Harlan Ellison and produced by Douglas Trumbull, known for his special effects work on 2001: A Space Odyssey. The series is set aboard the Ark, a massive spaceship carrying the last remnants of humanity. The narrative follows Devin, played by Keir Dullea from 2001: A Space Odyssey, a young man from a seemingly pastoral community who discovers that his entire world is just one of many biospheres attached to a colossal spaceship. The plot of The Starlost revolves around the discovery that the Ark is on a collision course with a star. Devin, along with Rachel, played by Gay Rowan, and Garth, played by Robin Ward, embarks on a journey through various biospheres in the ship to find a way to save the ship and its inhabitants. Each episode explores different societies within the Ark, with the trio encountering various challenges and moral dilemmas, including autonomous AI and alien encounters. The series blends elements of adventure, drama, and science fiction, aiming to address broader themes of human nature and society. The production did not live up to its premise, losing Trumbull early on. Harlan Ellison turned against the series he had created early on, billing himself as Cordwainer Bird, and complaining bitterly to science fiction magazines and at conventions for years. His griping created the impression that The Starlost was not worth watching. I disagree. Special effects do not make or break a space opera. The Starlost engages the imagination with a unique setting and is worth seeking out for fans of intelligent, original science fiction. Number 9. Message from Space Galactic Wars, 1978. Message from Space Galactic Wars is a Japanese TV series, a spin-off from the 1978 film Message from Space, produced by Toei Company. The series aired from July 1978 to January 1979, featuring a total of 27 episodes. I have long been a fan of the film Message from Space, which I caught on TV in the very early 1980s. To me, it looked like a live-action anime remake of Star Wars. I eventually got hold of an uncut, widescreen, Japanese-language, English subtitled version of the movie in the early 2000s, and while I found the film slightly improved from its American dub and a charming curio, apart from its incredible end battle, which is strangely similar to the climax of Return of the Jedi, the movie was no more than a curiosity. Until I discovered the TV spin-off a few years ago. Everything the movie got wrong, the TV series gets right. Message from Space: Galactic Wars is a sprawling, action-packed, imaginative slab of classic retro space opera with a lot of heart. Blending elements of tokusatsu with high fantasy and science fiction, Galactic Wars gives you heroes you cheer for, characters you care about, villains you relish, and a story that perfectly captures everything we love best about space opera. Featuring many top-notch miniature FX shots, super energized fight sequences, and outrageous ninja assassins borrowed from Kamen Rider's Shocker Agents, this is a series well worth seeking out and watching, and you will never get the infectious theme song out of your head. Is it primarily a silly kids show? Yes. Is it also an ambitious and effective space opera? Yes. If you have a Star Wars-sized hole in your life, created by the clueless and crapulent Disney era, give Message from Space: Galactic Wars a chance. You may end up loving it as much as I did. Number 8. Blake 7, 1978. Blake 7, a British science fiction television series created by Dalek creator Terry Nation, aired from 1978 to 1981. The series is set in a distant future where the Earth and numerous other planets are governed by the totalitarian Terran Federation. The narrative follows Raj Blake, a former resistance leader who is falsely convicted and deported to a remote penal colony. Blake, portrayed by Gareth Thomas, is an idealistic figure determined to fight the oppressive Federation. Blake is joined by a group of fellow prisoners: Care Avon, played by Paul Darrow, a skilled but cynical computer expert; ex-pirate Jenna Stannis, played by Sally Nivette; and telepathic alien Callie, played by Jen Capel; Vila Restal, played by Michael Keaton, a cowardly but endearing thief. They seize control of an advanced alien spacecraft, which is named the Liberator, and embark on a long campaign to overthrow the Federation. Blake 7 is simply one of the best space operas ever made. This is big idea, big canvas storytelling. With rich characters and compelling stories to tell, we become deeply attached to the crew of the Liberator, who are often as antagonistic towards each other as they are against the Federation. Inventive, low-budget visual effects add to the period charm, as well as questionable costume choices, over-the-top performances, and lots of down and dirty action, the kind you just don't see on television anymore. The Liberator is one of the coolest spaceships ever put on film, and the theme song is an instant classic. Best of all, Blake 7 had the best ending to a sci-fi series you will ever see. Number 7. Star Wars, 1977. Star Wars requires no introduction, but you are no doubt wondering why it is not in the number 1 position. George Lucas is my favorite filmmaker, and I consider the complete Lucas-era Star Wars saga to be the best example of space opera on film. However, the original 1977 Star Wars as a standalone film has several weaknesses that keep it from the top position of my list. The genre is typically characterized by grand, sprawling narratives set across diverse worlds and cultures, but Star Wars primarily confines its narrative to 2 terrestrial locations: the desert planet Tatooine and the fourth moon of Yavin. the film introduces only two alien cultures, the Jawas and the Sand People, both desert scavengers. The original Star Wars film provides only minimal context regarding the broader political and social structures of its universe. While the conflict between the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire is central to the plot, there is little exploration of the underlying political dynamics, societal norms, or historical context that shaped this galaxy. For a genre that often delves deeply into complex world building, the film's focus remains narrowly on its main characters and their immediate journey. This focus, while effective for storytelling, leaves much of the universe's potential depth and complexity unexplored. While subsequent films and expanded universe materials delve deeper into these aspects, the original film alone offers a relatively simplified view of the genre known for its intricate and expansive settings. Lastly, the climactic battle was vastly improved in the 1997 special edition, giving the battle an arc with a beginning, middle, and end. The original battle is an incoherent assembly of shots that happened to be finished. None of this devalues this masterpiece of cinema, but as a standalone space opera, Star Wars falls short. Number 6. Starcrash, 1978. Starcrash. Starcrash is an Italian space opera directed and written by Luigi Cozzi. The film stars Marjo Gortner, Caroline Munro, Christopher Plummer, David Hasselhoff, and Joe Spinell. The plot revolves around the adventures of Stella Star, a space pirate with a heart of gold, who gets drafted to locate the lost prince of the universe. Her quest leads to the destruction of the evil Count Zarth Arn. Starcrash is an ambitious romp that perfectly captures the excitement of early 20th century science fiction novels and movie serials. The visuals are striking and original. The film takes us to many alien worlds, each distinct and memorable. We encounter many civilizations. There is an endless array of imaginative technology and weaponry. The final battle is faster paced and crazier than the Death Star attack in the original Star Wars. Starcrash was made by a fan and historian of the genre. It is both fun and funny, with oddly endearing, quirky characters, and it goes farther than any other theatrical space opera of the 1970s. Check out my video, The Making of Starcrash, for a full behind-the-scenes essay about this cult classic. Number 5. Space 1999, 1975. Space 1999 is a British science fiction television series that aired from 1975 to 1977, created by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, known for their earlier series Thunderbirds and UFO. Space 1999 is notable for its realistic, high production value special effects, unique set design, and the use of model spacecraft. The series is set in the then futuristic world of 1999, where the moon is used as a nuclear waste storage site. The premise revolves around a catastrophic nuclear explosion that propels the moon out of Earth's orbit and into deep space, leaving the inhabitants of Moonbase Alpha, the main setting of the series, to face the unknown challenges of space. Space 1999 is everything a space opera should be. It featured a stellar cast: Martin Landau as Commander John Koenig, and Barbara Bain as Dr. Helena Russell, along with Barry Morse as Professor Victor Bergman, and Aussie actor Nick Tate as Alan Carter in its first season. This has to be one of the all-time greatest casts ever assembled for a live-action science fiction series. The special effects team included many stellar talents, who would later go on to work on Star Wars, Alien, and Superman the movie. The Eagle One remains an icon of great science fiction design. Space 1999 was noteworthy for its uncharacteristic melancholy atmosphere, contemplative pacing, fleshed-out characters, and mind-bending concepts. This is one series that has withstood the test of time, and is more loved today than it was when it first aired. Check out my video, Space 1999, the best sci-fi series you've never watched, for more on this classic series. Number 4. Flash Gordon, 1979. The New Adventures of Flash Gordon, an animated series that ran from 1979 to 1982, stands out as a notable adaptation of Alex Raymond's original comic strip. Produced by Filmation, it featured a truly great cast of voice actors, fantastic new designs, and was truly faithful to the original comic strip and film serials. The storyline revolves around Flash Gordon and his allies battling Ming the Merciless on the Predator planet Mongo, forming alliances with local leaders like King Thune, Prince Baron, and King Vultan to resist Ming's oppressive rule. This dynamic narrative is enhanced by the groundbreaking combination of motion control and rotoscoping, a technique that blends live-action footage with animation, adding a unique visual style to the series. Many fans have noted that this series and its TV movie pilot, The Greatest Adventure of All, were far superior to the 1980 live-action feature film. This is the epitome of space opera, with dashing heroes and heroines, dastardly villains, colorful companions, and non-stop action. Sadly, the original serialized concept did not meet the requirements for syndication in its day, and the format was changed, utterly ruining the series. But the 1970s animated Flash Gordon is still worth seeking out. Fittingly, the first series ends on a cliffhanger. Number 3. Battlestar Galactica, 1978. Battlestar Galactica was an American science fiction television series created by Glenn A. Larson. It aired on ABC from 1978 to 1979. The series is set in a distant star system, where the 12 colonies of mankind, after a 1,000-year war with the Cylons, warrior robots created by an extinct reptilian race, are betrayed by the traitor, Baltar, to their Cylon enemies. The survivors, led by Commander Adama aboard the Battlestar Galactica, flee in a fleet of 220 ships, seeking a new home and the legendary planet Earth, while being relentlessly pursued by the Cylons. In my opinion, the original Battlestar Galactica is one of the ultimate space operas ever put on film. The scope is biblical, with rich world building, deep troves of lore, relatable and complex characters, a unique premise, excellent special effects overseen by John Dykstra, beautiful conceptual design, a stirring musical score by Stu Phillips, classic 1970s aesthetic, an outstanding cast led by Lorne Greene, Richard Hatch, and Dirk Benedict, and unforgettable action and battle sequences. Originally intended as a miniseries, Battlestar Galactica suffered from last-minute script changes, budgetary conflicts, and the inevitable comparisons to Star Wars. Judged solely as a space opera of the 1970s, even with all of its flaws, Battlestar Galactica is, in my opinion, a superior space opera to the original Star Wars film. Battlestar Galactica is closer to the Ten Commandments in space than Flash Gordon, advancing and even killing important characters off to move the narrative forward. It is truly unfortunate that audiences never got to see how it ended, but this is a truly epic space opera on a grand scale. See my video, Battlestar Galactica 1978, not a Star Wars ripoff, for more on this beloved series. Number 2. Doctor Who. Doctor Who, a groundbreaking British science fiction television series, began its journey on the BBC in 1963. The show introduced the Doctor, a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey, who travels in the TARDIS, a time-traveling spaceship disguised as a blue British police box. The Daleks, introduced in the serial The Daleks, quickly became iconic adversaries, propelling the series to immense popularity. In 1970, the series entered a new era with Jon Pertwee taking over the role of the Doctor. Pertwee's portrayal marked a shift in the series' narrative, focusing more on Earthbound adventures. His incarnation of the Doctor was notable for its collaboration with the military organization UNIT, giving the show a more action-oriented approach. Pertwee's Doctor was known for his dapper appearance, a stark contrast to his predecessor's whimsical style. Tom Baker, who began his stint as the Doctor in 1974, is often remembered as the most iconic portrayal of the character. Baker's eccentric and bohemian interpretation brought a unique charm and wit to the role, attracting a broad audience. His 7-year tenure saw some of the series' most imaginative and memorable stories, including Genesis of the Daleks and The Deadly Assassin. Baker's portrayal left a lasting impact on the series, and is fondly remembered by fans worldwide. The 1970s Doctor Who is legendary for its limitless imagination, sprawling universe, detailed world building, mind-bending concepts, iconic production design, intelligent stories, endless lore, and a style that perfectly captured the decade. At its best, Doctor Who is space opera done right. See my video, Classic Doctor Who, for more on Doctor Who in the 1970s. And now, for my number one space opera of the 1970s. There can only be one, and that one is Space Battleship Yamato. Space Battleship Yamato, a Japanese science fiction anime series, debuted in 1974 and has since become a significant part of anime history and global pop culture. The series tells the story of the crew of the Yamato, a spaceship tasked with saving Earth from annihilation. It gained immense popularity for its engaging narrative, detailed art, and thematic depth. The Americanized version, Star Blazers, will not be discussed here, since it created an equally devoted but separate English-language fanbase, not in the 70s but in the 1980s. Space Battleship Yamato is, in my opinion, the greatest space opera ever filmed. A heartfelt, heroic epic about never giving up in the face of impossible odds. This is the most epic science fiction story you will ever experience. Yamato inspires as it breaks your heart. The space battles are second to none. Yamato is not only epic in every sense of the word, it treats protagonists and antagonists equally, committing to giving both sides a story arc. Characters grow, change allegiances, and die. Nothing is taken for granted. The production design is as stunning as it was influential. The original Japanese performances and musical score are brilliant. Space Battleship Yamato is the ultimate space opera. By the time you reach the end, you do not feel that you have been watching characters, but rather that you have known living, breathing people, shared their struggles, defeats, and victories, mourned their deaths, and celebrated their successes. Yamato set a new standard for science fiction on television. As far as I'm concerned, it has never been and will never be topped. There you have it, my top 10 list of space operas of the 1970s. Agree? Disagree? Post your own list in the comments below. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications so you never miss out on new videos and community posts.